All right, let's just jump right in. We all use these AI-powered search tools every single day. And honestly, they feel like magic, don't they? You ask a question and boom, you get this really smart answer. But what if I told you that behind that slick, confident answer, your search engine is hiding a pretty big secret?
I mean, really think about that. What if it's consistently missing crucial pieces of the puzzle? Not because it isn't smart, but because of a fundamental flaw, a blind spot in how it even looks for information in the first place. That's the huge question we're going to unpack today.
And that right there brings us to the search engine's blind spot. It turns out that even the most advanced, cutting-edge AI can totally struggle with a concept that, once you get it, it completely changes how you think about finding things.
And that concept is called recall. Now, it's a really simple idea, but it is so important. Just forget about how results are ranked for a minute. Think about this. Of all the documents out there in the world that are actually relevant to your question, what percentage did your search engine even manage to find? That number, that's your recall.
Now, you might be thinking, so what if it misses a few things, no big deal. But in some fields, missing even one document can be an absolute disaster. For a lawyer, missing a single case precedent, that could literally lose a trial. For a doctor, missing one medical study could have life or death consequences. The point is, for these high-stakes searches, you can't just find some of the answers. You have to find everything.
So to really get why search engines miss things, we need to pop the hood and see how they work. And the best way to think about it is like you're hiring two totally different kinds of detectives to solve a case.
On one hand, you have your classic keyword detective. In tech terms, this is sparse search. This detective is super meticulous, very precise, looking for the exact words you typed, like hypertension. But here's the problem. It can't read between the lines at all. Then you have the modern AI detective, the dense search. This one's an intuitive profiler. It understands meaning. It knows that high blood pressure is basically the same thing. But because it's so focused on the big picture, it can sometimes breeze right past a crucial specific detail. You see the problem? Each detective has a huge weakness. So if neither detective is perfect on their own, what do you do? Well, the solution that this research came up with is so simple, it's kind of beautiful. You just make them work together. And this is that hybrid approach. It's pretty straightforward. First, you let the AI detective give every document a concept score. At the exact same time, the keyword detective gives everything a keyword score. Now, since they're scoring on totally different scales, you have to normalize them. Basically, put them on the same playing field, from 0 to 1. Then, you just blend those two scores together into a final hybrid score. And finally, you rank everything based on that new combined score. It's just a brilliant way to get the best of both worlds. And when I say the best of both worlds, I really mean it. The results from this simple idea weren't just a little bit better. They were, and I'm not exaggerating, a complete and total game changer.
Let me just ask you this. On a standard web search benchmark test, a big one called MS Marco, the researchers compared the AI-only approach to this new hybrid method. How much better do you think the hybrid was at actually finding the relevant documents? Take a guess.
580%. Yeah, you heard that right. Not a typo. That's a nearly 6-fold improvement in just finding the information that actually mattered. And here's the visual proof, straight from the paper. You don't need to be a data scientist to get this. Just look at the difference in the size of those bars. The old way is that tiny blue one. The new hybrid method is the green skyscraper next to it. It's just a stunning visual of how much the AI was missing all by itself. So let's put that crazy 580% number into real terms. The fancy AI-only approach, it was only finding about 14% of all the relevant documents. That means it was missing over 85% of the good stuff. But the hybrid approach, it found nearly 81%. It went from mostly failing to mostly succeeding. That is wild. So look, this isn't just some minor technical tweak. This fundamentally changes the blueprint for how we should be building search systems, especially for those jobs where getting the complete picture is absolutely non-negotiable. But as with most things in life, there is a catch.
Nothing comes for free, right? The research is super upfront about this fundamental trade-off. You see that term on the slide? NDCG? It's just a fancy way of measuring how good the ranking is. Is the #1 result really the best one? Is #2 the second best? And so on. The trade-off is this. By casting a much wider net to find more stuff, you can sometimes mess up that perfect ranking just a little bit.
This chart here visualizes that trade-off perfectly. Ideally, you want to be in the top right corner. That means you find everything and you rank it perfectly. The old AI method, that's the blue dot. You can see its recall isn't great.
Now, the new hybrid methods are the orange dots. Look how far they are to the right. That's that massive boost in recall. But you'll notice they do drop down just a tiny, tiny bit. And that little drop, that's the small price you pay in ranking quality.
So here's the real takeaway. It comes down to a choice. What do you want? Do you want a search that gives you a beautifully ranked but totally incomplete list of answers? Or do you want one that gives you a comprehensive set of nearly all the answers, even if you have to look a little closer to find the absolute best one? For anything critical, that answer is pretty obvious.
And this gives us a whole new blueprint for search. For anything that really matters, you use a two-stage system. Step 1, run a hybrid search to maximize recall, to find every possible piece of the puzzle. Step 2, take that big, comprehensive pile of results and use a more powerful tool to re-rank them perfectly. This is also a huge deal for AI chatbots because it gives them way more complete information, which helps cut down on those dreaded AI hallucinations.
The final conclusion from the research itself is as direct as it gets. For any field where finding everything is what matters, we're talking law, medicine, science, fact-checking, this simple hybrid approach shouldn't just be an option. It should be the default choice, period. And so it leaves us with this final big thought. As all of our search tools get more and more intelligent, are we sure they're actually getting any wiser? Or have we been so focused on finding that single perfect answer that we've completely forgotten how to find all the other answers that matter just as much? This research suggests it's high time we started looking at the bigger picture.